Hello and welcome back to the Animal Wisdom World Summit. This is the place for animal lovers and spiritual seekers to connect with the wisdom of animals, from family pets to wild animals to animal spirit guides. I'm your host, Dr. Kara Gubbins, founder of the Animal Wisdom Circle and creator of How to Talk to Your Pet, the proven 4-step system that teaches anyone and everyone to connect intuitively with their pets or with any animal. And today I'm so excited because we have Kathleen Prasad joining us, and we're going to be talking about 3 ways to let the animals lead: presence, partnership, and peace. Kathleen Prasad is the founder of Animal Reiki Source and president of the Shelter Animal Reiki Association. A Reiki practitioner for over 22 years, Kathleen Prasad teaches and shares the healing benefits of Reiki meditation for animals and their caregivers through her method of Let Animals Lead, Animal Reiki. Her nonprofit, Sarah, shares and teaches Animal Reiki for rescued animals and their caregivers in shelters and sanctuaries around the world. And for more information about her and her work, you can go to animalreikisource.com or shelteranimalreikiassociation.org. Welcome, Kathleen.
Thank you so much for having me. Great to be here.
It's so fun to have you back. And I have to start by saying what a huge fan I am of you and your work and the model that you have been in the world from the very beginning of your work. And I think that one of the big things about this summit this year, the impetus inside of me, is to really highlight the leaders who've been laying the groundwork, doing the foundational work for a lot of years, so that we can be in this crazy time and have not chaos, but go, okay, this is how it's done. We have some role models, we have some tried and true methods, and your life has been that for the last 22 years. So thank you for being here and for being that role model for all of us.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's been a long journey. And when I think about when I started, how nobody was doing this and you know, how I kind of just went out and started doing it, I'm kind of like, wow, I can't believe I did that. Like, it seems so difficult to be the one, you know what I mean? But I think just following your heart opens doors. And I think that's kind of what happened with me. So I just feel really grateful to be here.
I think it's that if we knew what was going to come later, we wouldn't have ever started. But if we just take that step in front of us, it's like, oh, I could do that.
Yes, one step at a time, for sure.
Yeah. So coming from this background, because you've been such a pioneer and a leader in this field, and really, I think you've really opened a lot of people's eyes to Reiki and to animals, you know, really a new perspective on animals and our relationship with them. And here we are in 2020 with the global pandemic. You and I are both in Northern California in Armageddon-like conditions with orange skies and ash falling. And I'm just curious about how you're responding to all of this based on, you know, your experience as an animal Reiki practitioner and teacher for all these years.
Well, I have to say, it's a definitely challenging time, and I am very grateful that I have been practicing for so long, because I have a lot to fall back on. I'm teaching some newbies right now, and I'm like, oh, this is such a hard time to be starting, but in a way it's the right time, because all of the challenges are right in front of us. We can't pretend they're not there. And this animal Reiki practice gives us the opportunity to create peace and balance and harmony and compassion, like right now. And the world needs it so much right now. For me, just my meditation practice that I do every day really helps. My time with my animals every day really helps. You know, my dog Vincent is always with me, and my horse Kodiak as well. Spending time with them helps me to remember what's most important in my life, and to sort of let go of all of the worries of like, what if, and, you know, thinking about the big picture right now is really hard, because there is so much suffering in the world. The forest where I spent my childhood growing up every summer from the time I was very young and all the way through college, went up in flames 2 days ago up at Huntington Lake up in the Sierras. And to just think of, that part of my childhood being gone is so difficult. But I wrote a blog a couple days ago about the lessons that I learned from the animals at Huntington Lake, because I realized when I was little, what I used to do, we would drive up there and I would run out of the cabin and run out into the forest. We're right on the edge of the forest. And I would find a rock, or I'd find, a little tree stump or something, a fallen log to sit on, and I would just sit and I would be still and I would wait. And the animals would come out. The animals were the chipmunks, the squirrels, the mice, the rabbits. The birds would start coming down and sitting, blue jays and ravens. And if I was lucky, there was deer. One day there was a big deer with big, huge antlers that laid down in a little stick fort that I had built. And so just the experiences, and I learned that if I didn't move, that they would get closer and they would just accept me. And I could just watch them. And I learned so much from sitting with those animals about all their different personalities, about all of their, how they work together. The birds would warn the chipmunks that there was someone coming, and so they'd all hide. And it was so interesting to see the harmony between the different animals and to see my place in it, that I didn't have to come trudging through making noise. And, normally you walk down a trail in the forest, the animals kind of run away, right? And so to actually learn how to become a part of that tapestry, and that, my first experiences of doing that was at Huntington Lake. And so all of those animals really showed me that. And as a child, I was so receptive and open. And so when I was thinking about my heartbreak at having lost that place, but then turning that around and seeing the light and saying, thank you. And wow, this place has a legacy. My Let Animals Lead method really comes from that. And so many of my students, find so much comfort from that now. So I was thinking how, change is upon us, but there are beautiful seeds that have grown that will always be there and that will keep growing. And, so that's been my way of getting through all this, is acknowledging the heartbreak and the loss, but also finding the light in that difficult moment. And I think that really is kind of something the animals bring to us and teach us, isn't it? That they help us to find the light in those dark moments. And that's what each of us has to really take time and do right now, especially.
Oh, beautifully said. For people who don't know, will you just explain what Let the Animals Lead and Animal Reiki is?
Yeah, sure. So Reiki is a Japanese spiritual practice, energetic healing therapy, and Reiki means spiritual energy. And so if we think of energy as sort of everything that makes up the universe, and the system of Reiki as we practice it teaches us sort of how to uncover our best self, or our light, or essence, which is light, love, compassion, peacefulness, and how to sort of help others through that, compassion. And so our greatest healing power is the power of our open-hearted presence and really being there as a compassionate support for others in our lives. So the healing of power of Reiki is really about that, learning how to harness that and how to use that for good. And specifically for animals, it's not a touch therapy, because animals are often much more sensitive to touch, or maybe they've had bad experiences with people, or maybe they're wild animals, so they can't be touched. So it's really more about a meditation practice that we use, and we create this beautiful energetic space and then invite animals to step into that space for comfort, for easing of suffering, for harmony and healing and compassion and peacefulness.
And I think that from the very beginning, this has been your MO, your perspective on it, right? It's always an invitation. It's never forced on anybody. And do you think that letting the animals lead, I mean, going back to your childhood in the forest and really just allowing the animals to come to you, you could see that pattern through your whole life. So of course, when you found Reiki, that was the way you did it.
Mhm.
But is there a difference? Do other people do animal Reiki differently than letting the animals lead?
Yeah, because when you use Reiki as a for humans, the practitioner always leads. So Reiki is very heavy on protocol. So there's specific things that you learn, specific hand positions that you use, even timing that you use. And even though some teachers are more into intuition than others, it's very heavy on protocol and the way that you do a session or a treatment, as they would say. So when I first started sharing Reiki with animals, I also used that same protocol because I was just basically translating what I'd learned for humans to animals. Because we as humans, we thrive on that kind of protocol. You know, we're very touch-based and, you know, energetically, we just want to lay down and relax and get a treatment. But animals are much more active. They're much more energetically aware, and they have the wisdom to be able to step in and sort of utilize the space in a way that, as most of us humans, we're not that sensitive to, and we don't really understand how to connect in that way. So in a way, if you're a human, you sort of receive the Reiki session, laying down, falling asleep, relaxing while the practitioner does the protocol, and you just sort of soak that up as you're resting or sleeping. But with animals, it's a much more active process. And I think, yeah, my natural inclination has always been to learn from animals, to watch animals, to listen, and to it's almost like reconnecting with Mother Earth or something that I think humans we did used to be connected, but we've lost a lot of that. So I think I realized as I started just translating how I did it with people, and I had mixed results. And I thought mixed results isn't good enough. Like I want 110% great results. And so I think I sort of fell back on that wisdom from my childhood and, you know, sort of figured out how to adapt the session to animal sensitivity, animal wisdom, you know, recognizing and honoring their sensitivity to energy. And with humans, it's really about touch. But with animals, it also has to be about what we're thinking about, because animals understand our thoughts and they know our emotions and they read us so well. So we have to kind of self-manage as a Reiki practitioner those things as well. Whereas if you're with a person, they may not really know what you're thinking about. But if you're sitting outside an enclosure with a tiger and you're sharing Reiki with them, and then you start thinking about something else, the tiger just looks at you and walks off. Like, how dare you not give me 110% of your presence? I'm out of here. You know, I've seen that and it's like, wait, how did they know that I was just, you know, zoning out there instead of being present? So those kinds of experiences helped me to realize that I had to incorporate some different techniques to make animals want to connect and to make them comfortable to connect and feel safe and trusting. And so that's where the Let Animals Lead method, it basically takes Reiki practice as a foundation and then incorporates all these other things to make it really animal centric and animal led.
I love that. And you touched on the first way that we can let animals lead, which is that presence, right? That's, I think, maybe one of the first things we can learn from being with animals is how to be more present.
Absolutely. And I mean, think about just even our domestic animals that live with us, our cats and our dogs. I mean, that's how they help us relax when we're stressed about work, we're stressed about, you know, family or issues, and your cat comes and sits on your lap and you start petting your cat. All that stuff falls away, right? and you're just here with your cat, like totally here. And that is so healing to our whole being, you know. And our dog, you know, brings their toy over, and okay, now I have to play with my dog. I forget about everything else because I'm with my dog. And, you know, normally we're like on a screen or we're in our head about something, and we're really not very present. So I think animals give us the gift of presence for sure. And I think what I've found is if I can combine being with my animals with my Reiki meditation, that creates an even more expanded possibility for being present here in this moment, for letting go of worry, letting go of anger, and letting go of expectations, and, you know, just really being here with my animal. So I think that that combination of Reiki with animal presence is so valuable for our, you know, our inner growth for sure.
What do you think, just talking about presence and learning how to access that ability to be present, what do you think the biggest benefits are for humans in doing that and learning that from being with the animals?
Wow. I mean, I think it's just kind of like stepping away from the zombiedom of society. You know, we're like all a bunch of zombies, really. We're so distracted, and we've created a culture that is multitasking like to the nth degree constantly, you know. And I think that's gone away a little bit during the pandemic because a lot of us have not had our distractions of places to go and things to do. We've been kind of home, and so we've been forced to really reckon with right now, here now. You know. But I think when we're present, then our life, it gains much more. Well, I gain much more gratitude. I know that because I feel like, you know, the things that I have, I see them. Because sometimes I'm not looking, I'm looking other places, and I'm missing what's right here and right now. But our animals are always right here and right now. They're always sitting next to us, waiting for us to engage with them in this moment. You know, and even when they're ill, or, you know, if they're struggling with something, that is not on the forefront of their mind. The forefront of their mind is just, you know, this moment, and finding like little joys in each moment of being. I mean, it's so amazing to see animals who are sick just be like, yeah, whatever, I have cancer or whatever, but let's, you know, play. Or, oh, you know, I want a treat. Or let's take a walk. You know, they sort of are like, whatever, that's not what's important. What's important is this interaction and being with you right now, and finding joy in little things, you know. And so that's such a gift that animals give us. And when we learn to do that for ourselves more, we relax, you know, the stress response in our body, you know, let's go. And we can kind of, to me, it's like washing all of your cells with healing. Because when we're in a constantly like heightened stress space, that's so bad for your immune system. It's so bad for your mind and for your, you know, mood. Like a lot of people are suffering from depression right now because of all the stress going on. And so just to wash our mind and our emotions and our body with presence is washing it with healing, really, through all of us. And then everything functions better. So for me, like, we need this now more than ever, because we need to have a strong immune system right now. We need to have a strong emotional, you know, body and mind, and in our emotions, so that we can be strong for our families right now, for you know, people around us. We have to be kind of an anchor in these tough times. So for me, that presence is really the cornerstone of how we get that strong, grounded, everything, all of our cells like working optimally, you know, at our highest healing potential. Really starts with that.
And if that's the starting point, what comes next when we do achieve that presence and that focus in the present moment? What shows up for people after that?
So for me, that's where we really have the opportunity to create partnership with animals, because now we're here. So now I'm totally here. And now that I'm here, I can listen and I can hear and I can see and I'm receptive. And so these new connections are possible with animals in that moment when we're really present and grounded in this space and everything's relaxed and we're open. Now we can receive. So now we can begin to see our animals with new eyes. We can see them as our teachers. We can see them as, in the case of Reiki, as understanding energy better than we do. And so we can see them as actually leading us in this sort of energy language that's out there. Is a very subtle way of connecting with each other through energy, right? We can connect through voice, we can connect through eye contact, we can connect physically. When we connect energetically, that's something that's much, it's under the surface, right? So we have to, as you can see, we have to be present to be able to access something that subtle. So I think for me, the biggest gift is that partnership of animals, because I think we often see ourselves as the caretakers and we're caring for the animals. And so we forget everything they bring to the equation and all the gifts that they're giving us each and every single day in our lives, and how they're a model for us. You know, I see animals as sort of lights on the journey of healing in our life. They show us all these things, all these lessons, like in patience, in forgiveness, in compassion, right? Animals, like they're not trying to teach us something. They're just like embodying it, just being themselves, just being it, right? And so, but we have to be in that receptive mode to realize it. I remember when I first started connecting with animals really through Reiki and realizing my eyes opening to all the gifts they're giving me, so many spiritual gifts and wisdom, right? I thought back to my dog of my childhood, my cat, and how they were just standing, walking with me every step. And I was clueless. I wasn't paying attention, and they never gave up. You know what I mean? And looking back, I'm like, oh yes, they showed me patience. They showed me compassion. They got me through that hard time, whatever. But at the time, I didn't really appreciate it. And that's, I feel, that my Reiki practice with animals brings me an appreciation right now in this moment, where I can say to my dog, thank you for showing me that. And thank you for standing by my side today, because it wasn't easy, and you made it easier. And thank you. Like, I just love being able to express that gratitude in real time, instead of like looking back and going, oh yeah, I wish I would have realized that, right?
Right.
So I think that comes from partnership, you know, because you wouldn't choose someone to be your partner if you didn't think they had something to offer, right? So it's that realization that, wow, they're really bringing something important, and it just changes the dynamic. It changes the bond. It deepens the bond. So beautiful.
And it really, I love how this all comes out of that presence and that awareness. And you touched on animals being teachers and guides and touch points along the way. And in that partnership, you get to have the awareness of it happening. I love how you're talking about being aware of it right now, not having to look back at it and realize it after the fact. So what then becomes possible if you have this ability to tap into that partnership, that present moment connection with somebody, with an animal, in this case through Reiki? What then becomes possible for you and for that animal?
Such a huge gift, the gift of peace in this moment. And that doesn't mean that we're waiting for peace. Oh, I got to get through this hard time, and then later I'll find peace and I'll find balance and I'll take a breath later. Right now there is peace. All is well right now. So to really discover that deep peace amidst struggle, amidst uncertainty and chaos, if we look out in the world right now, we need that. That is the biggest gift to our life right now, is that peace, that deep peace that is unshakable, that is not dependent on outward circumstance, that exists under the surface in our essence. And that, to me, is what we discover through animal Reiki practice, animal Reiki meditation. We discover the essence of our being, the essence of peace, the essence of light and love and harmony and compassion, all of that right now, accessible right now in this moment. And so that, for me, is why meditation is really the central feature of the Let Animals Lead practice, is because that is what really helps us go deeper with presence, with partnership, so that we can find peace, is through meditation. Because meditation is how we train our mind to drop into our heart and to have that awareness. Really, it's that training. We have to keep practicing, because normally we're going to be distracted, we're going to be multitasking, we're going to be in our head, we're going to be focusing on all of the stressors of the day. So to be able to let all of that go, it requires a lot of mindfulness and a lot of work, really.
I love that reminder of the daily practice, and that it is accessible to all of us in any moment. You know, it is there, and having that daily practice, or having this doorway of knowing that I can go and connect with an animal, whether I do Reiki or I just sit with them or I pet them, knowing that that's a doorway to access that place that already exists inside of us, I think is so comforting and so practical and so available. And I guess my next question to you is, what do you say to people who go, yeah, but the world is so chaotic right now, I feel guilty about feeling okay? Do you have a response to that?
Yeah, you know, I mean, that's one of the Reiki precepts is, you know, be compassionate to yourself and others. And so I think it's a definite quality of most animal lovers that I know, and most of us are empaths as well. And it's a quality that we extend all of this compassion and care to everyone around us, but we have different standards for ourselves. We're really hard on ourselves. You know, we don't extend that compassion this direction, always this direction. And that is really about, you know, we need to create balance within ourselves. So we need to recognize that there's an imbalance. I'm giving all this compassion, and then I'm feeling guilty, and I don't think that I deserve that same compassion and love and light, and that everybody else I'm working so hard to give. So to recognize that imbalance, and to understand that bringing compassion to ourselves brings balance and harmony. It's not something to be, you know, guilty about, or to feel that we're not worthy of, but it actually brings balance to ourselves, which extends to everyone around us. I mean, balance is the probably most universal law of healing in the universe, I think, is that balance that comes through change. So we need to really remind ourselves, be kind to yourself, be compassionate to yourself, love yourself, forgive yourself, you know, think the best of yourself, you know, all of these things.
Give yourself the benefit of the doubt at the very least.
Absolutely, right? Allow yourself to make mistakes, you know, and to forgive yourself for those, and to allow yourself to do better next time, you know. These are all things that we extend to others so easily, but not so much to ourselves. So I think that really comes from an imbalance within our own energy. And that, again, can be addressed through our meditation practice, through listening to the animals and watching their example and learning from them as well. We can learn to remedy some of that.
So it sounds like animals can really lead us back into our own selves. And from there, we can be our best self and move forward in our lives in the best possible way, given whatever the circumstances are in front of us.
Absolutely. Well, think about your animals. When they look at you, they see your deepest self. They see your essence. And that vision of you doesn't change depending on how much money you have, or what kind of job you have, or what kind of clothes you're wearing, or how great, fancy you look today versus yesterday. Any kind of outward circumstance in your life changes. That doesn't change how your dog looks at you or your cat looks at you, because they see your essence. And then this is one of the things that I teach in my classes, is that we owe it to our animals to look at them the same way that they look at us, especially when they're sick. We need to see them for that beautiful, perfect self, and not see them for what's wrong with them. So we're really just returning the favor, seeing them the way they see us. But as you say, we're really going inward because our true self is that beautiful light, right? So the more that I can recognize that I too am the light, the more that I can see it in them, and the more that they show it to me, the more that I'll recognize it. So it's kind of a partnership of helping each other, showing each other, supporting each other. Because if your animal's very sick, or if they're suffering with an illness, they also may forget the light. And they need you to remind them, you are the light. All is well. There is peace in this moment. So sometimes we're the ones who lift up our animals. And very often they're the ones who lift us up. But it's this kind of cycle as we walk through our life journey together, where we help each other. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. What kind of leader do you think the world needs right now, given here we are in 2020, in some of the craziest times hopefully we'll ever experience?
I think we need leaders with vision, leaders that see beyond difficulty, leaders that see deeper than what's wrong, and leaders who see healing as wholeness, because wholeness is possible amidst illness, chaos, uncertainty, suffering, hatred, whatever. Wholeness is possible in the middle of that. So I really believe that we need leaders who see that and help us find that wholeness now. I think we also need people actively working towards fixing the issues and moving to a better world. Absolutely. But as far as energy healers and energy workers, we need to stand in this moment and say, all is well in this moment. We need to find that deep within ourselves. We need to share that with the ones that we love. And we need to walk forward through these difficult times, holding that light for others. The world needs that light right now. There's so much darkness. We need to hold the light, radiate the light, shine the light, and our animals will help us do that.
So it sounds like it's really, each one of us can be that kind of leader, the way that you describe it. We can each be that source of light and peace in this moment and allow that to ripple out beyond us.
Absolutely. You can be a leader in this moment for the world. And the funny thing about it is that you learn how to be that kind of leader when you let animals lead you to it. So it's like the animals are leading you so that you become a human leader, and you become the light for humans, for other humans, by allowing animals to lead you into your leadership, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. I feel like it just like everything was just all woof right there to get to that point, which is just so beautiful and so natural, right? Like we're all here to heal, to become our best selves, to share our gifts, and as animal lovers, empaths, light workers, that for us is often the easiest place to get that reflection, to get that guidance, to see that love in action, and then get that, kind of reinforced inside of us, so we can be that battery, that light of love. Our batteries can get recharged, I guess is how I would say it. So Kathleen Prasad, a beautiful leader of light and love and healing. Do you have any final words that you want to share with our audience today?
You know, in such challenging times, I just want to remind you guys to look deeper than everything that's wrong and to see the essence of life in your animals, to see it within yourself, to see it in nature around you. You know, even as, you know, beginning, I talked about the fires that destroyed my one of my special childhood places. But, you know, after fires go through, forests regenerate, they grow again, they come back. And so we can also come back from this. And if we take this time right now to go inward, to practice our meditation, to practice our presence, to practice partnership with the animals, to practice seeing peace in difficulty, when we come through this, we will be stronger, we'll be more grounded, we will have a much more open mind to see the world, we'll have a more expanded positive vision for the future. So we can use this time right now to nurture all of that within us and come out even stronger. Just as I pray for all the forests, especially the forests in California, that they will regrow and regenerate. I want to see that for us too as we walk through this difficult time.
That really reminds me, we're not separate from nature, we're part of nature, and all of those qualities that we see, the regeneration of the forest after a fire, that's available to us too, because we are nature as well.
Absolutely. And that's one of the sort of underlying principles of animal Reiki practice, is the connection of all of us, the oneness of the whole world. And we're all part of this beautiful tapestry of existence, you know, and the more that we tap into that, the more we tap into our inner power and inner light.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much. This has been so inspiring and so uplifting to be able to have this conversation with you. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
And I know you have a special gift for all of our viewers and anybody in our audience. Do you want to tell them about this free gift, the 5 tips for Reiki healing with animals that's available to everybody?
So yeah, I have a little infographic of 5 tips of healing with animal Reiki healing, something like that. 5 tips, and it's a nice little infographic. And so I'll have a link for you guys to go to. And if you opt in to my Animal Reiki Source newsletter, then I'll send you that lovely gift, and I'll also send you a special coupon for a class to help you to go deeper with your animals.
Yeah, and we do have that button right here on this page. Wherever you're watching this, there is a button for you to go and be connected directly to Kathleen's website to go and get that. And there's another button on this page for you to purchase your All Access Pass. And with your All Access Pass, you get access to this interview, Kathleen's bonus interview. She's going to come back and we're going to go deeper into animal Reiki to stay positive in difficult moments. So building on what she's shared with us here, we're going to go even deeper and get a little more practical on how we can really apply that in our lives during these challenging times. You get lifetime access to both of Kathleen's interviews, all the interviews in the summit, and the price does go up when the summit ends. So act now to get your best value for that. We would love to have you in that community. And we also have our Facebook group, Animal Wisdom Insiders. So I would love for you to come on over and share what insights, what ahas, what inspiration you got from Kathleen today. Share that with all of us so we can celebrate it with you, and maybe you'll give us an insight we didn't get ourselves, so we all win from that. So Kathleen Prasad, animal Reiki practitioner and healer and teacher, thank you so much for being here and being part of the summit.
Thank you for the opportunity. Blessings.
And thanks everybody for being here, and we'll look forward to connecting with you next time. Have a beautiful day, everybody.